Hey everybody, we've got a terrific guest who's joining us from Palm Springs. Yeah, Erik Fellows is joining us, star of stage, screen, television, and so much more. You know him from Days of Our Lives and so many other great shows and specials, and also starring in Law and Order. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Hey, Erik, welcome to the Jim Masters Show. It's a pleasure to have you with us today, my friend.
How's it going, Jim? Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And we got to start this off. I'm Jim or James, but there's another James, I believe, that's watching. We're here on the East Coast in the New York area, but there's this real super fan who's been following your career, I think, since day one. He's on the East Coast. He's excited. I think he's even been calling you and calling you. Hey, when's it starting? Who should we say a special hello to on the Jim Masters Show?
We should say hello to my father, Jim Fellows.
Hey, Jim, from the other Jim and from Erik. Now he's calling all the neighbors, right? Hey, I got mentioned on the Jim Masters Show.
Yes.
Well, it's so great. Well, you hail from the East Coast, right? From the Maryland area.
I do.
So what, first inspired you to want to get into acting and performance? And we're going to talk about, a lot of the shows that people remember and some really cool things that you're involved in as well that are coming up on our television screens. But how'd you start to get into the world of acting? What inspired you? Is there entertainers in the family, or are you the breakout star?
No, I mean, to be honest, I grew up playing basketball. I played basketball majority of my life as a young kid. That was my aspirational goals in life was to be an NBA star. I only grew to 5'10" and a little change. But I actually played basketball my entire life. That's what I devoted my life to, which my father was there for all of this. And I was a really good basketball player. I was a point guard. I played for my high school basketball team. I was actually going to go overseas at one point, transitioning from high school. But I got injured, actually tore the ligaments of my ankle in a summer league game going into my senior year. So it kind of set me back a bit. And I was going to go play in Italy because I'm half Italian. So it was going to actually transition me over there because I could have dual citizenship over there. But I kind of freaked out. I didn't make the move. And from that point forward, I kind of just became like a teenager. Kind of started acting up a little bit. Wasn't sure what I was going to do in my life. And I kind of got approached at one point through a friend of mine. I guess their kid was a little model, did like commercials and modeling in the DC area, and they had an agent for their kid. And the person asked me if I ever got into modeling. And where I grew up, that wasn't something we ever really even discussed or thought about. I mean, I grew up loving movies. I understand fashion and those things, but at that particular time, it wasn't something like, oh, I'm gonna go be a male model or be an actor in Hollywood. That wasn't something that we ever thought about. So one thing led to another. I ended up taking a meeting with the agency. They started repping me. This was in the late 90s, not to age myself. And I started working with them, started doing like local print jobs and commercials. And one thing led to another. I ended up going to New York City, meeting with agencies. I moved to New York. Modeling kind of transitioned to people telling me like, oh, you have this personality. We think you'd be great, great fit for commercials and TV and film. So I got introduced to an agency, Innovative Artists back then. I ended up signing with them. This was in 2000. And next thing I know, I'm going out for commercials and TV. And then September 11th happened. And next thing I know, crazy time, obviously. I was there for all of that. And I moved back home for a few weeks. I visited Los Angeles the July right before that. Met with agencies in LA. One of them actually took me on before even moving to LA. So I kind of had a place to go work with when I went to Los Angeles. And then I moved to LA October 10th, 2001. That's kind of how it transitioned, because acting sort of came out of, all of it kind of came out of nowhere, to be honest. It wasn't like, oh, I was going to be an actor as a kid, or, I was in theater or did plays or anything like that. I guess I kind of always had a little bit of a personality, but my main goal was towards sports. Always basketball. I even at one point when I was 14 years old, I ended up getting a Michael Jordan Jumpman sign tattooed on my arm, like a real tattoo. Yeah, no, I had real. Yeah, my mother, I drew it on my arm a week before. My mom kind of chewed me out and said, "That's not real." And then she licked it off, and I was like, okay. So I actually went. One of my friends had a friend who did tattoos in his basement, and I went and got the Jumpman sign tattooed my arm at 14 years old. And that's how much of a basketball person I was. And I was a huge.
Did you ever let him know? Does he know that?
Funny story. I mean, oddly enough, years ago, someone that I was a friend with, they were at an event in Vegas, and I guess they had a few drinks in them, and they came up to Michael Jordan's Tiger Woods event. This was so many years ago. And they told him that my friend has you tattooed on his arm. And he didn't he was like, what are you talking about? And he basically, she put him on the phone to call me, but I wouldn't pick up the phone at that point because it was the middle of the night. I missed the call, but I remember getting the message. This is 2002 saying, hello, this is Michael Jordan. And I heard that you have me tattooed on your arm. And that was a message I tried to say for so many years. My heart was broken. I never picked up the phone. It's not like I could ever speak to him again. I've never met Michael, but that was surreal. But that's a true story, something that really happened many, many, many years ago. So not that he remembers, because many people have him tattooed on his body. But for someone to call, I didn't even pick up the phone. It was so early in the morning. It was I don't know. Usually I don't sleep early, but it was midnight or 1, and I just didn't pick up the phone. And it was a message left on my phone. But obviously, after all those years, I couldn't keep it. It's back when you had those Nokia sort of flip phones that were like walkie-talkies.
How cool is that, huh?
No, that was pretty surreal. I'm not gonna lie.
Michael, did you want to come in now or no?
What'd you say?
Michael, would you like to step in now or?
Honestly, I probably would stop speaking.
Could you imagine?
It's hard to get me to stop speaking because I can speak, and I would probably stop speaking.
You've got that East Coast passion. I know what that's all about.
It's Italian.
It's that vim and vigor. Of course, people know you from so many different things. We'd be remiss if we didn't talk to all of the folks that love the daytime television dramas and the legendary Days of Our Lives. And Troy Winston, how did that come about? And, we've had several daytime drama stars on our show from various ones over the years. And one of the things that they all say is if you can make it on a daytime drama or soap opera, just with all the dialogue and all the scene changes and the shooting hours and all of that, you're pretty much primed to be able to do anything else because it's very intense. It's rigorous. How did that come about to be on Days of Our Lives, such a legendary franchise as that? And as Troy Winston, people will remember very well.
Well, so for the first portion of my career, because I ended up going on Days, I think it was 2009. There was a time period I remember, they back then they didn't used to the crossover of soap operas and even primetime or film weren't really talked in the same sort of category. It was kind of like you're a soap star, you're a TV star, you're a film star. So none of that stuff was really kind of categorized in the same sort of understanding or box, I would put it. So at first, I would hear different things, and I always knew that it was a very treacherous sort of deal. Going on that show and having to do that many pages of dialogue a day, you only get one take, which is very scary. I think eventually, my agent at the time, I think I was submitted for Guiding Light maybe a month or so before that. And I was in consideration for that, but it was in New York City, and I was really happy in LA, and I didn't quite want to go back to New York. So I really pushed the envelope there. I kind of said, I don't know if it's somewhere I want to go back to live. It's close to my family, but I was really happy in LA, and I wanted to get my feet really kind of just going in LA. And I think kind of a month later, I got an audition for Days of Our Lives. I had long hair at the time, very long hair at the time. And it was kind of just this recurring role, 6-episode recurring role. So I auditioned for it. I went in the room, and I don't know, man. I guess I kind of just was what they were looking for. Marnie is the casting director, and I guess that's what she was looking for at the time. This bad boy, sort of edgy, sort of drug dealer side guy that kind of has this edge to him. So I kind of brought whatever I possibly could to him, and I got the part. But it turned into, on and off for the next 2.5 years, being part of the show, which I made very close friends with. But I will tell you this, it is, yes, if you can make it through a soap, you can make it through anything. That is the one thing. Some of your best actors come off soaps. I think some of the biggest stars in the world have been on soaps. So I will never take for granted that I had a chance and opportunity to be on Days of Our Lives, because it gave me my start. It got me to be prepared. Sometimes we would shoot 2 episodes, 3 episodes in one day, and then they change things on the spot. But you also have to be like very loyal to the dialogue too. So the commitment's real. So anyone who's ever told you that is 100% telling you the truth. It's scarier than you think until you're there and you're in the moment and you can't mess up. And then when you do mess up, your heart sinks. It's crazy. So I'm forever grateful and loyal to Days of Our Lives and blessed that I've ever been a part of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, you left an indelible mark. People still talk about it as well. And like you said, that was very true what you were saying, as far as they didn't really mix like the nighttime stars and the daytime stars and the various, right. And back then, they didn't even really mix news with entertainment, everything.
No.
Now it's all mixed together. People are doing, sports stars are doing game shows, and everybody's doing everything. Did you ever think, with the love of sports, of tackling sports broadcasting at all?
I mean, I know a lot about basketball in that world. I never know. I actually have never thought about that. It's actually a good question. I don't think I don't think it's not in the cards. That's actually, I'm glad you said that. Good job, Jim.
If your producers and agent happen to be listening, and
the networks, because I didn't think about that.
You can blend the love of sports with the gift of gab and knowing how to do it right.
Yeah, no, I think I could hold my own there. I think I have something to add to it. That's a good thought. We'll see what happens in a few years. Let's see. Let's keep going. See where we're going.
We're going to have him back, and he's going to update us, and he's going to send us a network mug that will show on camera, depending on what network he ends up on.
Well, they're bringing Michael Jordan to network. So I'll tell you what, if you're listening, I mean, I know my tattoo's on here. Oh yeah, I didn't mention I did have it lasered off when I was in my early 30s for acting stuff. It just needed, I had it lasered off, but I did have a Jordan tattoo. But if you're listening, Michael, I'd love to work with you.
There you go. That's it right here on the Jim Masters Show. We're always bringing people together, folks. I always say that. So now you don't know what's going to happen next. His phone will probably be ringing in about an hour.
And I better answer this time, though.
This time he'll answer. Absolutely. You've been in a lot of really cool things too. And one of them is working with James Brolin and Cybill Shepherd. And we've got this really cool photo that we dug out with everybody. What a great. Tell us about being a part of this project, which was something really special too. 2 phenomenal talents you're working with, everybody on Being Rose.
Yeah, no, that was an honor. Obviously growing up as a kid, watching Moonlighting with Cybill and Bruce Willis, I guess not knowing that you're going to eventually be in this business. And as a kid, and, my father was a huge Cybill Shepherd fan, and my mom, Bruce, Brolin fan. So I think the biggest thing there was like telling them I got the part, and they didn't believe me. They're like, what? I'm like, no, I'm playing Cybill's son in a movie. And then James Brolin is the love interest. So it was like kind of, because my mom was, back then my mom was like, oh my God, James Brolin is such a, heartthrob. And for my dad, Cybill. So that was like the biggest thing. But I actually became very close with Cybill over the years after we shot the film, and Amy as well. And James was a pleasure to work with. Such a professional. I don't know. I mean, I was obviously working with both of them, very starstruck. I don't get starstruck too often, but there's been a handful of times in my career I have been. She was amazing to work with. The movie was very emotional. Topic in the storyline itself was a very emotional storyline. But again, I stayed very close with Cybill over the years. I got to visit her at home multiple times. We had few projects that we're trying to make happen since then, and I have nothing but positive things to say about both of them. It was a great experience. I'll never forget, but it is very interesting being a little kid watching these stars that were iconic, and then eventually, playing the son to one of them, and then becoming acquaintance friends with them is pretty surreal. So, yeah, it's like little bits and pieces of this business you take with you as you work with different people on films or TV that you'll never forget. And this is one of those moments.
It's kind of interesting too. You and I would understand this when you are in these roles sometimes. Like for me, if I'm doing an interview or I'm hosting on television or radio, and the person that I'm talking to is somebody that, I've really always been a fan of, admired, respected, revered, and all of a sudden here they are in front of me. Right. We're either working together on something or I'm tasked with, chatting with them or what have you. There is that sort of dance that you do, the nuance of, okay, you are excited, ecstatic, and you are pinching yourself that you are there in their presence. But at the same time, you are the professional. You
Right.
have to maintain that. And there's certain things, there's a certain decorum and things of that nature. How do you balance that yourself when you are working with some of these folks that you've always admired, your parents have admired, and now here you are on set with them, splitting a lemonade or something in a scene?
I mean, that's a good question. I don't know if there's like the correct way to handle a situation like that. I think that I hopefully was raised decently enough with my parents to, like, in that circumstance, not to act like a fool. I don't know. I think I've been doing this long enough, and at that particular point in my career, I'd work with a handful of the people that I've even icons or people I've looked up to, been around it enough to know how to handle myself or how to have the conversation with them or not to overstep or something like that. I guess you have to feel like you belong, not that you feel that you belong, that you deserve to be there. And I think when you put yourself in that situation and that you've worked to a certain degree, or you've worked this hard to get there, that it feels more natural, then you'll look at it. But there's nothing to be said when you step into a situation, someone that you really did, grow up looking up to, or just, it's almost like an anomaly of a situation. It's hard to figure that out. I think you just do your best you possibly can. But then once you start speaking to them, you just realize that you're actually they're just like you. Is this where you kind of want to be? So you kind of just fit in. It just becomes the circumstance becomes a thing that you feel natural with, and then it all kind of comes together. But yeah, you hope not to freak them out or act like a fool.
Exactly.
It's the best way I can describe it. I don't know. I mean, that's just how I've always handled it.
It's a great way to do it. That's how I do it too. And you can definitely let them know how much you've admired them and you appreciate their work. And there might be even things you've learned from them. And like you mentioned, some folks already that you've admired, that you've had an opportunity to work with. Carol Burnett for me was one of the big ones.
Yeah, of course.
It's like we love you, Carol, and God bless her, huh? My God, and Dick Van Dyke going to be 100.
Yeah, these are icons, man.
We're keeping those fingers crossed for that. Absolutely. Also too, again, everybody knowing that you've been in a lot of great things, a lot of commercials too, but you're also in Texas Heart as well. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that. Another great one.
So Texas Heart, I play a corrupt lawyer who ends up losing a court case. I'm kind of dealing with sort of the mob sort of situation. I promised them that I will not let their son go to jail, but I don't do the job that I thought I would do because of his arrogance and cockiness. I end up fleeing from the mob. In the head of the mob sort of family with Lynn Shea, who's a dear friend of mine who I've worked with a few times, and she's an amazing human and actress. So I end up fleeing from LA, end up going to the small town in Texas and kind of trying to change my identity so no one could find who I am, change my name. I end up coming into this autistic kid who kind of lives about in town and make friends with all the smaller folk in town. And then at that point, a girl goes missing, and played by Daniela Bobadilla, and Cam, who plays the role of the autistic kid, does a phenomenal job. I become very close with Cam and his character, and throughout, so I ended up defending him for a girl going missing. If anyone hasn't seen it, go check it out. But it's kind of a very family-friendly film. It's a journey for this kind of character who's kind of like the narcissist, sort of arrogant lawyer, turned good in the end, and trying to do everything he can to help this kid in the end. Sort of like the villain turned hero in the end. Something we shot back in, I guess that movie came out in 2000, maybe 16 or 17. So I've worked with a lot of good people. Blake Clark was in the film as well. Lynn Shea. Mark David, a good friend of mine who directed it. Dan Blake Smith, who's the writer, who I've worked with, who I have a new movie coming out with soon with Mark, who directed. So these are people that I've worked with over the years, but just a good old family film. So if you haven't seen it, I think people liked it. It actually did well back then. So something I'm very proud of. It was it was my first time as a lead in a full feature. And
that's quite a thing,
it
right?
kind of gave me my start as a lead in films, which I couldn't ask for a better situation with the character they got to play.
That is so cool. And again, talking about working with some really amazing people. Another one too is American Cowslip. Now, for folks who aren't familiar with this, really something fantastic, playing opposite. You've had an opportunity to play opposites through your career. Val Kilmer, Cloris Leachman, Bruce Dern, Diane Ladd, Rip Torn, and Peter Falk. I mean, that's Hollywood royalty right there. Yeah. What was that like? Cloris Leachman, what a hoot.
Well, that was okay. So actually, it's the same director of Texas Heart. So that's actually the first film I ever did with Mark David. So how that all came about was my manager at the time used to work for Val Kilmer. He was, I guess you would call him his assistant life coach back then. And it's true, he was literally his life coach. So I guess they reached out to Mark's production team, reached out to my manager back then and had said, hey, we want to get this script to Val. Val, how many days would how much would Val cost for if we want to shoot him out in 6 days or a week or whatever it was? Because this is 2008 or 7. So I guess what happened was he had reached out to Val, sent him the script because it's kind of an artsy, dark, twisted, like drug-induced twist of a comedy. And they were originally going to my role for a bigger name at that time. And my manager had said, well, listen, I'll get the script. I mean, this is a true story. I'll get the script to Val if you put my client in the movie to play, at least a couple scenes with them. And they said, well, what's his name? So at that time, 2007, we don't have the means to look people up the same way, get all the information on. So he said, is he an actor? And he goes, yeah, he's an actor. He's like, so I sent him a picture, and I remember him saying, well, wait a minute, he's a male model. And my manager goes, no, but he's good, trust me. And he goes, meet him for coffee. So I met Mark and his producing partner for coffee with my manager. And I remember him going, oh wow, you could speak. You can actually say 2 lines here. Like you have a personality. And I go, well, yeah, I have a personality. What do you mean? So it literally went from that meeting to, because originally my character was only supposed to have maybe 5 lines. Actually, I think it was initially just 1 or 2 lines. And then he was going to give me a scene, but it ended up turning into the whole climactic ending of the scene because me and Mark hit it off so well. And I guess I hit it off with the cast. And, that was like working with Val was surreal. And I had met Val actually a week prior to once I found out I got the part. We went and met Val so I could meet him in person. So I knew I was going to be working with him. And then he ended up inviting us to his ranch down in New Mexico. So I went down there for a week with a couple of our friends. and we rode horses. His horses. We were there for like a week. So the whole experience to me was something I'll never forget. And God bless his soul. So it was very sad when he just passed. But that was something I'll never forget. But looking up at Val, I mean, come on. I mean, that was, to me, was one of the biggest things moments of my life, as far as my career. But then working with Cloris Leachman and Diane Ladd and Bruce Dern and then Peter Falk, Columbo. And that was Peter Falk's last film ever, was our film. So it was just it's an amazing cast. The Ronnie Blevins, who plays the lead, Boo Stewart's in it. It was like the craziest cast you've ever seen. But Val is something that I'll cherish forever and hold dearly to my heart.
Did he know how you felt about him? Did you ever get a chance to relay that to him?
You know what's so crazy? We never took any pictures with him because I was going to see him again. We went down to his house, so I saw him down there. But I don't know. We did go to take one picture with him. We went to his trailer when we were shooting American Cowslip. But he answered the door in his underwear. But he was in his whitey tighties, and then my manager was like, maybe it's not the best time. He's like, come on. I'm like, no, it's okay, man. So I actually never got a picture with Val, unfortunately. But no, I know I did. And actually, something I'll never forget, that at the end, when they wrapped me, he walked across. If you've fully seen the film, the whole climactic ending of the scene where he comes out on the donkey and all this stuff, he walked across to me and he shook my hand. He said, "You did a great job, kid." And that's something I'll never forget. And I'm like, he didn't have to say any of that. He didn't have to say anything. And like, that's something I'll never forget.
When somebody takes the time to do something like that, who's been doing it for a long time, and they're very busy people and just pull in many directions, it's really something special. You'll remember that. You might not have the photo, but boy, what a rich memory that is.
I mean, that's something I would take that over the photo. I mean, love to have a photo, obviously, with him. I mean, I have on-screen stuff with him, but my point is, like, saying that to me was something that you're not expecting that at all. So that was like, for him to even say that was, and Val, Val's a tough guy. He was a tough guy. He's not an easy person to please. So to hear those words out of his mouth were like pretty awesome.
It really is. That's good stuff. That's a great story. Thanks for sharing that. So many incredible things. Johnny's Sweet Revenge is another one you were a part of. Yeah. Cool stuff, huh?
Johnny was fun. Dark comedy. Very, very Tarantino-esque. Two sort of movies merged into one. We played the goofy cops trying to break down this bar heist sort of thing that went awry. But that was good. And Blake Clark's in that film as well. A lot of good people. Ronnie's in that. There's a lot of the same familiar faces. Mark directed that as well over the years. A lot of cool stuff. I've done like some really interestingly push the envelope type of films. I will tell you that.
You have, some really, really cool things. Another great one too, right after that, is Break Even, the action thriller. That's a terrific one too.
That's a slightly, it's more commercialized, sort of more of like, on the run, sort of heist, suspense, like thriller heist film that we did a few years back. Shane Stanley directed that, good friend of mine. We had a great time filming that movie. Shot in Catalina for like 2 weeks, as well as in LA, all around LA. It was a fun movie. Some really cool.
It's on Tubi too, right? Tubi.
Yeah, it's on Tubi. It's on all the platforms. Yeah.
It's all there as well.
Yeah, it's all there. Yeah, all the good cast. Alicia, Tassia, Brent, good people. They were fun cast work with, good group. We worked on that for about almost a month, and it was a good experience. It's one of those. It's a fun film.
You mentioned when you're an actor and you're brought into these opportunities to work in various roles with various scenes and various formats, it just stretches your ability. Do you have a preference over drama or thrillers, comedy? What speaks to you, Erik?
Well, I mean, I've kind of initially also kind of started more of the dramatics end of it through the years, the films that I'd done, and then some of the TV that I'd done, and obviously soaps, more of the melodramatic sort of end of it. And then kind of going into the dark comedies over the years, Johnny Sweet Revenge, American Cowslip is one of them. My film about Hollywood. I don't know if I can cuss on here, but Starfcker. It's a movie about Hollywood, that satire film about a parody on Hollywood about someone that would do whatever it takes to make it, kind of like sort of like the post Me Too movement of like, yeah, there you go. That's it. Different movie. If you haven't seen it, watch it because it's definitely out there. I don't know, man. I've had opportunities to make both. I think I teeter in both sides, because making comedies is very tough. You know what I mean? Comedy is very, very tough.
It is.
For people that think, oh, it's, oh man, you can make someone laugh. It's not so easy to make people laugh, especially these days. But if you can make someone laugh in a dark comedy and subtle comedy and this dry sort of delivery throughout an entire hour and 45 minutes of a film, I mean, I think you've really succeeded for anyone, any actor, any director putting together a dark comedy film. Because not everyone's humor is the same, man. So you got to find that happy middle ground. So at the end of the day, I mean, I love both sides. I got to play a role in Purgatory for 2 seasons where I played an ex-con murderer killer that, I'm very proud of. It's one of my favorite characters I've gotten to play. Mike Hassey directed, and my friend of mine, Clayton Turnage produced, who brought it to my attention and got me an opportunity and got me an award for that. So I was very thrilled. But that's it was a tough character to play, because you don't know, playing a person that treats humans this way on camera, how people are going to respond to this. So you have to try to find that sort of happy middle ground of empathy for this kind of character. And that was very scary when it came out, but it ended up working out in my favor. And it was one of my favorite characters to date, to be honest, because I have to do a lot with Bobby in this series.
That is a cool role. Again, you have the ability to really go from one to the next, which I think is just showing the versatility. That is a pretty intense role, isn't it?
It was a pretty intense role. And I remember when they first, we shot it in Armenia, actually. So we were in Armenia shooting in a cave for a bunch of months, and then we got sent back because of COVID. And then we had to go back to finish the second season the following year. So this was in 2020. Went back the following year once we kind of got the okay from the pandemic. I remember they looked at me and they're like, good luck with this character. And you're going to make, good luck with getting sympathy for this guy. Because the way it was written was he's just doing this awful, ex-con murderer, rapist kind of guy, maneuvering his way and getting what he wants and treating people like absolute crap. So, it's not a simple character to go into, but I had to find that. Kind of studied a little bit of Ted Bundy. Why would people still love Ted Bundy even though he did awful things? It's kind of like that breakdown in my head. How can an audience appreciate anything you're doing? And then I remember when I first got killed in the second season, the last episode before the finale, and people were writing me going, "Oh my God, Bobby's dead," and I'm like, "Yeah, he deserves to die. He's a horrible human." But people didn't want him to die. So I'm like, okay, at least I got some people rooting for me here.
You know who also had a similar, it makes me think of that show, You.
Oh, I love that show.
With Penn Badgley.
That's my dream role.
He's talked about that too. Penn Badgley has talked about that unusual appreciation that people have for his character, loving his character, loving the scenes and the dialogue and all of it, and him finding it a little interesting that people would be so obsessed about a character that does some pretty horrific, crazy, interesting things. You think it's the animalistic side of us all?
I will just say this, is that he did a phenomenal job. He did a phenomenal job carrying that show for all those seasons. Whether it was time for the show to go, that's, their choice on that. But yeah, you do have empathy for him and his character. And it's hard to believe that you would. And then you start to almost the redemption for him a little bit, which is crazy. What do you mean? you try to find like the process of how this character is thinking and why he would do the things he does, but sometimes you understood it, which kind of makes you feel psychotic at the same time. So I it was a really well produced show. So if you're gonna ask me like what is something that I would want to character I want to portray, I mean, I got a chance to kind of play that a little bit on a smaller scale in Purgatory, just in a different sort of sense. But to push the envelope any further on a much, larger scale, that's the kind of character that I would love to try to tap into, to be honest. And I thought Penn did a phenomenal job. He deserves everything he gets.
He did. Absolutely right. Yeah. Somebody else who really takes on, a role that can and make it his own as well. Absolutely. You've also, people remember you from stints on CSI New York and NCIS Los Angeles, which is fantastic. You like being a part of those? Those are great franchises too.
Listen, being part of any network is fantastic.
Yes, it is, right?
I will tell you this right now. So yes, very grateful always for any opportunity. You can play a guest star on any show. Trust me. Actors, yes, it's
yes,
a very, very
the answer,
I promise you.
Yeah, especially, yeah, absolutely. And, there's another series too that you're widely known for. I mean, of all the incredible work that you've done. We had Christos Andros on the show as a guest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And The Bay, you had an opportunity to be on The Bay.
Known Christos a long, long, long time. Yeah, no, I was part of The Bay for about 6 seasons.
Yeah.
Or pretty much the conception of when they went sort of to Amazon Prime.
Right.
So So my character, Damian Blackwell, was part of that show for many, many, many years. Had a great run, made some really great friends, actually. Some of my closest friends are from the Bay. So, hats off to all those people and all my friends. We're all, as much as contact as we can be, but we made some really good friendships. And it's had a long run.
It really absolutely has. And it was a really interesting series when it first came out. It was unique in its own way. And I think people really sort of gravitated towards it. And there's like a huge cult following for it as well. And you were Damian Blackwell. And you Best Lead Actor win at the 2022 Indie Series Award, the role as Bobby in the hit series Purgatory, which you talked about. That's great, when the industry and the people recognize the work, right?
Yeah. No, that was I think it was when, from the transition from the short formatted series from daytime and prime time, they kind of merged into kind of doing these short formatted series, and that's how the Bay kind of started. It kind of opened that door for these other shows, not just for sort of the soapy, I wouldn't call it soapy, but sort of soap genre, into the edgier stuff. And that's where Purgatory kind of fell into that sort of category. So they kind of all transitioned, but the Bay was kind of the opening the door for the short format series. And when it started getting recognition for the Emmys and stuff like that. So it kind of gave people that idea that, okay, then now we can sort of create our shows kind of following this understanding and even edge it up a bit. So, and that kind of now where we're at now, where things are very, very different, in the vertical world and all that kind of stuff, and trying to figure out how that next transition kind of works with the TV, primetime, daytime, the soaps, because the vertical world's kind of that sort of short formatted series, but vertically. And now we're all trying to figure that all out. So, very, very different, but it's obviously becoming this phenomenon thing, It
is absolutely right. Does that mean you and I have to move our chairs sideways and sort of like, hey, everybody, if you're watching us vertically, for some reason, I doubt that your father is watching this vertically. Unless he's watching on the phone.
It actually depends. He
could be watching on his phone. We have people that, hey, everybody, mobile is one of the biggest ways people watch our show.
Hope he's not watching it. Well, hopefully he's sitting straight up and not watching it vertically.
Exactly, my friend.
I think he's okay. I think he's doing okay.
Maybe he's watching it wearing a suit dipped in the Atlantic Ocean or something, huh?
That would be eating some crab cakes.
Exactly right. Because, there's nothing better than clothing, especially really good looking clothing that
Yeah.
is wash and wear, you know, especially when you're running around on set. Case in point.
Yeah.
Boom.
Oh, wow.
You like my segue?
That was good.
Where was
You threw me
this?
into the ocean there.
Threw you into the ocean, right?
Oh,
Where was this?
that was the Bahamas.
Very nice.
That was
Very
the
nice.
Bahamas, and I thought that it would be a good idea to go just get in the water in my suit.
Wash and wear, right?
Yeah.
We actually dug out some really cool shots of you doing different things.
That's Cuba.
That was right, exactly. That's a great shot. As is
That's
this.
Cuba. That's Cuba.
It's a good shot too. Sometimes, you know, you're beside yourself. Boom. Love that one.
Oh, a little black and white. Would you like better?
That's right. Exactly. That's cool. Here's another shot. Was this on set?
No.
It looks like it, doesn't it?
It does.
It has that on set look.
That was just like a little shoot I did, but that's in the valley.
Yeah.
That's in like in Chatsworth.
Yeah.
That's like in some like back cut in Chatsworth.
It looks. It looks like it's just you're on set there.
You pulled out some old ones, man.
We did.
Okay,
and there's that. That's on Tubi, as we mentioned as well. You know, I mentioned commercials and products. You know, we do our research here at the Jim Master Show.
Yeah, of course.
You've had an opportunity to sport some great, you know, names too.
That's the earphones.
Yep.
That is fast. Yeah. For the electric car. Yeah.
That's cool. This is a cool one. I don't think I've ever seen this car before. I don't know if it was a spec or something, but that Nissan?
No, that's the 370ZX. That's a new one.
Oh, that is. Wow. I haven't seen it up close. What a cool.
So that's the 2024 Nissan 370Z.
So was this an ad you were in?
Yeah, this is the campaign for it.
For Nissan.
I was the face for it for the last few years.
Wow. See, gang, he's all over the place. He really, really is. That's a great shot too. No, that's one of
the screenshot from Starfcker.
Right. That's a great shot too. Check that one out, folks, too. That's a cool one. Matter of fact, we were sent the screener, so we got to see the whole screener too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're gonna check that whole thing out. You know, so many other things, but one of the other things too that we want to talk about, and of course we mentioned Days of Our Lives. Everybody's still talking about. Some of our viewers are commenting. They're like, "Oh, I remember him in this, and I remember him in that, and wow, I loved him when he was in this and that." Matter of fact, Neva says hello to me and to you. Love all your work, Erik, and Days.
Not long enough. I agree.
They want more.
Maybe one day they'll bring Troy out of a coma.
From Days of Our Lives. For those not watching, is that how it went? Went into a coma.
Went to a hospice. Yeah, indefinitely. I've had a few times to go back on this show.
There's never indefinitely with soap operas, right? There's never indefinitely.
Man,
you could be the evil twin.
Well, no. They actually at one point came up with an idea of bringing back Troy as having a good brother. It was just too soon. It didn't work out. We'll see. You never know. Put in a good word to the network people. Come on.
The network. Come on. Peacock, NBC, Days of Our Lives fans. Bring back Troy. Bring back Erik. Did you have a favorite storyline or scenes in Days of Our Lives for the daytime fans watching that was just a personal favorite for you? You just liked the way the direction of the character of Troy was going?
Well, I think that a lot of this, I got to work with Lindsay Hartley quite a bit. Eric Martzoff, James Scott, Stefano, no longer, alive, or John Aniston, Jennifer Aniston's father, who was my first original boss on the show. Some of the moments, my first day on set ever, I worked for John Aniston. So, that was my, some of my first dialogue ever come out of my mouth was he's my boss telling me what to do and, kind of guide, giving me instructions. So I'm working with John Aniston, kind of starstruck at that time, realizing it's, John Aniston. And then Stefano. one moment that sticks out for me the most. I mean, I enjoyed all the scenes. The actors I got to work with were amazing actors, award-winning actors, and some of stayed my friends over the years. Is I remember when Stefano, I was told that you cannot point your finger in his face, Joseph Muscala. And I remember I have to like threaten him. My character tries to threaten him, saying, I will get what I want, pretty much. And they said, whatever you do, don't point your finger in his face. He does not like that. And what do? I literally point my finger in his face, almost touch his nose, and threaten him. And we got it. It cut it. We only do one take. And he looked at me, this face, and I was just shaking. He was just like, nice. Because people were like, he was like,
that's cool.
Nice. He was actually nice to me, but he could be very strong.
He could have been.
Man. And I was right. I like almost tipped his nose. So that you're asking me like somebody I don't forget, things like that. You know what I mean? Like, but I had great scenes with Lindsay throughout the seasons and Eric Martzoff. I remember actually the first time Eric, I reminded me of this when we did a charity event. We get in a tussle in one of the first episodes, and he has to punch me on the ground, and he misses my face, and he dislocates his finger. His pinky went to the side. I'll never forget it. I just reminded him the last time I saw him. He's like, "Oh my God, you're right. I remember that hurt so bad." Yeah, he had to like pull his finger back into place.
So when you reminded him you were having a drink or something, and you had the pinky out, and brought back memories. There you go. Exactly. Did you work with Bill Hayes, Doug, on who played Doug and Julie, and Deidre Hall?
Hall, yes.
And Drake, who we just lost as well.
I never had a chance to work with Drake. He was there at moments, but never any scenes with me. No, I never got to work with Drake. Again, God bless his soul. God bless everyone who's passed.
You know, it's amazing how long that series has remained on television. It's outlived so many
50 years. It's insane.
It really is. Another great series too that a lot of people love that you are in, which is exciting, is Law and Order, Organized Crime. Tell us about this role here. This is exciting.
Yeah. So Steve Kingman, he's one of three brothers. We run a trucking company, and we're up to no good. I'm the middle brother. Chris Maloney, Stabler, obviously he goes. If people haven't seen it, but it's been out for now, a month and a half, so people have probably seen most of it. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. So I'm in the first 2 episodes of the 5th season of the 10-episode run, and we're a group of 3 brothers that are up to no good, trafficking girls through our trucking company, kind of with a cover up, but we're tied in with some bad stuff. And Stabler comes undercover in the first episode. Obviously, they sent him undercover. And my oldest brother, Dub Dandolf, who plays the oldest brother, he hires Stabler as his ex-convict, can get jobs to drive one of the truck drivers for the company. So he goes undercover, and from that point on, he's kind of like kind of peeking through where it's all going, what direction it's going in. And by the end of that episode, something traumatic happens that my other brother, Blake, who plays the oldest brother, does something pretty crappy to him and puts him in the hospital. And then we have a sort of a crossover from Mariska Hargitay, Olivia, who comes into the second episode, which I got kind of my dream to be interrogated by both Stabler and Benson. So in the second episode, so I can't say, if you guys haven't seen it, I don't want to say too much. So basically, that's what happens, but I'm giving too much away. 3 brothers running a trucking company, trafficking girls. Stabler tries to bring us down. Benson comes in. Then you have to go from there.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah, no, it was a fun time, dude. It was pretty surreal working with both of them.
Yeah.
I was pretty thrilled. I mean, working like I've always pictured like, oh man, what would it be like to be interrogated by both of them at the same time? Because you don't know, when you first get the role, you're like, okay, so Stabler show, can't wait to work with Chris for sure. Like I was like, oh my God, this is so exciting. You don't really
Exactly.
know. You don't know either. You don't get that second script until after you're shooting the first script. So you don't really know what's happening. So when you see like, oh wow, you're getting interrogated by both, that brings you back to SVU days.
Exactly right.
So I was stoked.
Divorce Bait.
Man, you're pulling out all of them.
We're good, huh?
I gotta remember all the
Well,
characters'
your
names.
dad's watching, so your dad probably knows all this. He's like, hey,
This was
come
fun.
on. How could he forget Divorce Bait?
This was actually a lot of fun. Christina Nava and Patrick Perez. Patrick directed it. Christina wrote it. Vanessa Vasquez plays the lead. Opposite me, my good friend of mine, Justin Birdie, plays her husband in it. Really fun, quirky rom-com, raunchy rom-com. That was fun. It was a good one. People should check it out.
Do you like the rom-coms? Do you like the
do.
rom-coms? Hallmark movies, also Lifetime movies. That's a whole genre. We've had a lot of people who have come through the Hallmark movies and Lifetime movies, and there's a whole cult following of fans that love and the Christmas movies and all of that. Is that stuff that you enjoy?
Well, I've done a few Lifetime movies. My Daughter's Ransom is one of them. I've done a few Lifetime movies over the years. I have not worked on Hallmark yet, so I've not actually worked with those people yet. But I've worked in Lifetime a few times. Yeah, of course. I mean, they had some cool storylines. They pushed the limits sometimes. So I enjoyed it. And My Daughter's Ransom was a fun movie. Got to work with some really, really cool people, talented actors. Doug Campbell directed that. And I've gotten to work with some really cool people in Lifetime films. So I don't hate on any of it.
No.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's bring it on. Work is work, and exactly, you bring it on, you have a good time with it. So Law and Order, Organized Crime, we mentioned that too, but there's some other ones. There's a recently released film, Death for Dinner, that you had an opportunity to be a part of as well, that they were telling us about, which I think is really cool. Taylor Rutherford.
This is actually, so this came out a few months ago.
Yeah, it's fresh off, hot off the presses. Yeah. Taylor Rutherford.
Taylor Rutherford was a very quirky, fun character. Lana Reed directed and gave me the opportunity to play Taylor. Got to work with some, again, great cast. Michael Perry and John Savage plays my father in it. Wendell Kennedy's in it. I mean, it's a really good ensemble cast. It was fun. It's quirky. It's kind of like Knives Out meets Clue in this sort of like little small, like sort of deranged way. And it takes place in this one particular mansion. We shot in Ohio. It's all kind of shot in one place. I mean, they shot some outskirts stuff, but we all shot kind of this mansion. It's about our family. It's a wealthy family. Our father's a senator. He passes away, John Savage. And then my brother, we're at like sort of the reading of the will at the dinner. And we're all kind of there at the dinner table. I play the quirky Taylor Rutherford, who's sort of like this rocker kind of guy, black sheep of the family that kind of doesn't really give a two craps about anything or anyone. He's married to his wife is Annie, who plays my wife, sort of like drunk wife, who's kind of a quirky character. She was great in the film. And he's out there. So our oldest brother, who's a senator as well, ends up getting poisoned at dinner. So then it's kind of like who had done it, sort of Clue, Knives Out sort of thing. There's a doctor that's at the dinner that happens to be a family friend that's trying to figure it out. And the detectives come once, he's been poisoned, and sort of who done it sort of deal. It's fun. It's fun. I think people liked it. I think it's done pretty well. So that was a really fun character. Actually, Taylor gave me a lot. Yeah, I got to play with characters a lot.
Yeah. It sounds like you're having fun with all these characters, and what's amazing too is he's an incredibly busy guy, folks, because he has a ton more things. Next going to be seen in new projects that include Water's Edge.
Yes,
and I'm psyched about. We just had Eric Roberts on not that long ago with a great conversation. He's got these amazing stories. Yeah. You're working with so many incredible people. Tell us a little bit about, I know these are coming, but a little bit about Water's Edge, working with Eric and the rest of the gang.
Well, Eric, I wasn't there when he was filming. I've met Eric multiple times. I've actually done a few films with him, but each time, actually, I have not gotten to work with Eric per se in the scenes, but he's been part of the films that I've been part of. Water's Edge is a suspense thriller. It's about 5 friends who grew up together in a small town in Ohio, and each year they come back for a reunion. They always sort of have some sort of like getaway or excursion planned. And there's this one particular friend that always causes problems. He never got out of town. We all kind of ventured off and became successful, but he was the only one that kind of stayed back and kind of fell short. And he always kind of, I don't know, held it against us. Well, we go on this excursion hike thing after he set up this reunion. We all go to this kind of getaway, and we're trying to figure a way of getting away from him because he's already causing problems the first day. And he sets up this hike for us to go on. Lo and behold, drama starts. He's carrying his backpack with him. I don't want to give too much away because she'll kill me. Something happens from that point. We get something gets revealed. We all have dark secrets. He tries to plant each thing against us unless we pay him money. Something awful happens, and I can't say anymore.
That's right. What a teaser, huh?
She'll literally kill me. If I say
absolutely. No. That's just enough to pique that interest. And then also Mr. Wonderful.
Oh, yes. God, man. Mr. Wonderful, they're sitting around to festivals right now. It just won. Where? Oh, it just won. It just won an award. Oh my God, they're gonna murder me for saying this. It just won at the festival Best Feature Film. I wish I remembered where it won, but it did just win. So it's going to the festival circuit. Mark David directed as well, and actually this is the first time that I've worked with Daniel Blake Smith, who wrote and produced Texas Heart. So this is Daniel's film, kind of loosely based on his father, who's played by Michael Madsen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I have a quirky sort of character in the film as well, Calvin. My friend Brittany Underwood's in it. Bobby Linné's in it. He plays Michael Madsen's son. So I am like sort of like her boss, sort of drug dealer guy that she's tied into, Brittany. And I cause some issues throughout the film. So if the movie does well, we actually have a prequel to the film as well. So we'll see how this does, and then my character is more pronounced in the prequel.
Right.
Do that, but
that's
Mr.
awesome.
Wonderful is a good film. It's a good film. Great performances. Good team. So
Another one coming up.
Hopefully they keep winning awards. They don't really
exactly right. That's Mr. Wonderful. So look for that, gang. Also, like his phone's been ringing. No Tears in Hell is another one.
No Tears in. I was told July 1st.
July 1st.
So Mike Cassie, who directed me in Purgatory, this is a film that Mike wrote and directed. It's about the Siberian cannibal. It's a true story about this guy who was a Siberian cannibal years and years and years ago that did some awful things to people in Siberia. So it's actually loosely based on this guy's life.
How do you prepare for roles that are really intense and really take a lot of your stamina, your resilience, your blood, sweat, and tears, your heart and soul? How do you prepare for them, deal with them, and how do you then know how to put them away and detach from it? I know there's been stories where some actors, actresses were so involved in a role and it was so intense,
right?
They almost couldn't separate themselves from the character. Do you have a certain strategy, method, or you just let it roll?
I try not to let it affect me too much. I mean, it's easier said than done. It just depends. It just it depends on the kind of character you're playing. I mean, I guess when I played the character Bobby, I played that character for 2 seasons. So, for multiple months at a time in a cave, trapped in a cave, 6 levels down in a cave in the dark. And you're playing this horrific sort of character. So I never go into a scene taking it too serious, and I never leave the scene taking it too serious. If that makes sense. So
right, exactly. That's a great way to look at it.
Mess around a bit. I mean, with Bobby, I played around a bit with my character, but I wasn't really taking it there. But I did that for my own preparation. But I didn't, you'll find me laughing or even kind of being like this before they say action. I'm not a person who has to really go dig too deep into it, because the thought process has already been sort of nuanced into my system to where I just kind of cater to that avenue and take it there. I hang on to it. I try not to hang on to it, if that makes sense.
You try not to hang on to it, right?
Well,
Exactly.
no, because I mean, you can't live like that. That's not, I don't think I would want to be an actor if I had to hold on to that feeling the rest of the night or the next 2 weeks or next year.
Right.
You know what I mean? I know it's difficult. Some people that create these, these demeanors and these accents and not able to get rid of them. I try to divert the perspective of that, because we're still human beings and we're living a normal life. So when they call it cut, you go home and you go eat your food and your dinner. You cannot sit there and stare at your plate wanting to kill it.
No.
I mean, people do.
I know they do. Yeah.
That's just not me.
Do you?
I'd be a happy person if I did that.
Do you watch your stuff? I think Johnny Depp had said he doesn't necessarily watch his stuff.
I watch everything I do.
I do too.
I
to critique.
How people don't watch your stuff. I put a lot of effort into it. I want to know where I can get better.
Exactly. That's what I've always done, right? That's always been my theory, is I want to see it detached from the emotion of having just done it. So I'll pull out stuff I've done, years ago, and I'll look at it now and say, you know what, maybe they were right when they said that was great and you nailed it and you did it. But when you're doing it, then it's the emotion, the expectation, the buildup that you have in your mind. And sometimes when you watch it later on, detached as, through the eyes of others who have seen it, it's a different perspective. And I think 100%. You sort of appreciate it more, right?
Oh, 100%. And so you'll go back and you'll miss things that you thought that you saw before, and it's a whole different feeling you actually get from that moment in that movie or TV show. You're like, holy crap. Like you actually have, you respect it differently. Like you're saying, even a year or two later or 5 years later, you sit again, you're like, oh my God, we did great here. Or, oh man, no, I watch everything I do. I have to, because I didn't put all this effort into this to not see what I did. I mean, that's just, but everyone's different. And maybe you have to, for Johnny Depp, I don't know if he never watched his stuff. I hear some actors say they never, ever go see their stuff. They let that go. I don't take it that personal. I take not getting the jobs personal and man, I wish I got that job and it's upsetting. But I don't take the performances that personal, because I let it go after I do it. So I just like to see what we created, and we all put on our best efforts and try to make the best project possible. I feel like not watching is disrespectful to everybody that put all the effort, to be honest.
That's a great way to look at it. That's a terrific way to
look at it. We all put a lot of effort into that, to not go and respect to watch it. And I'm not disrespecting anybody who doesn't watch their stuff. I just everybody just put a lot of effort in. And a lot of it's I've sat in editing and produce a handful of my own stuff too, and put in a lot of time. So I can't imagine not going and representing and trying to get people hey, check out what we did, because we just spent so many months doing this. So, but to each their own. Everyone is different and everyone has a different process. That's just mine.
Which means, and he just said, and he encourages all to do, he will be watching this episode of the Jim Master Show Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show series, coming at you live now, but it's going to be archived. Erik will be watching this again, so he can see how he did, because he's on, right? So everybody should watch it again and again and again.
Watch it.
If Erik does, and his father is, and my family was watching.
I wonder if my dad's still awake. He might have fell asleep. Only because
he's heard some of your stories. He knows you, right?
Knows my story, yeah.
He knows your stories. Yeah. Some other real quick things that everybody's excited about too. You're starring with Tom Sizemore in Sunlight.
Sunlight.
Yeah.
Sunlight did really well at the festivals. I'm not sure. I think it's TBD on release date. So we'll see. Sunlight's that's Tom Sizemore's last film, actually, before he passed away.
What was it like? Did you get a chance to work with him?
I did. I did not get a chance. I met him.
You met him, yeah.
But I didn't get a chance to work with him, no.
Yeah.
So, I mean, listen, obviously a very talented man over all the years, Again, too soon. Everyone passing away. It's very sad to see that and hear that.
Yeah.
So it's but it's an amazing. The movie is a very interesting film. It's a true story. So I got to play the lead lawyer in that film on a character that was adapted from the true story of this guy who wrote the actual film on the film. It's a crazy film, but you have to go check it out. But Tom Sizemore plays the father of that character when he was when he was little. So there's a lot of flashbacks and stuff like that. It's a very, very artsy sort of in your face and at times commercial, but like an artsy sort of like artistic perspective internally, like the internal thoughts,
exactly.
like Requiem for a Dream sort of perspectives.
Right.
Yeah. So it's not for everyone, but I think it's a very interesting film. It's done very well at the festivals. So I guess we'll wait for a release date. But yeah,
Stay tuned.
I think you'll enjoy it.
A couple others are Burner and Boss Me Around If You Dare.
Boss Me Around If You Dare is a vertical.
The vertical, yeah.
I think that just came out. That actually just came out, I think, about 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I play the like manipulative bad guy. I played more like the supporting lead bad guy. So I don't save the day, I cause problems. And Burner is actually just came out, I think, about a week
You got
ago.
so much stuff out, Mr. Fellows.
Yeah, well, we got to keep it going. This
wow, it's unreal.
Works, man. It's you're as good as the moment is. So you keep moving. I'm very grateful.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Everything I have coming, everything I've done, but you got to keep moving because times are changing, and you got to keep on moving.
Why do you love doing this so much? You've been doing it for a while now. You're really good at it. You've got a great following and a support system. What keeps, what are those blessings and joys that keep you going? I
think it's just that over time you grow a different passion for it. Again, this wasn't my original passion, so I had to sort of emulate my love for the sport of basketball. I know I didn't continue into this sort of field in the career I chose. It was probably not even halfway into my career until I realized, oh my God, like, why am I doing this? This is something I kind of fell into, but then I love pushing myself. Kind of this way I love pushing myself in sports. So I had to find that similar love to what I've loved as a kid in entertainment and the performing arts. So it's also that you never know sort of feeling. Keeps you on the edge of your seat, makes you very stressed out at times, I'm not gonna lie. But it's that moment of when the wins you do get, and then what you're able to make, happen from that point, what you're able to conquer from this. I think it's endless. It's an endless situation if you have the opportunities, but you have to be strong to stick in it because it's forever changing every second. So it's just, it's the pushing yourself, man. It's the pushing yourself. And I think also I achieved, I think a lot through my career. And I feel like, man, I never even thought of this before, like doing this business. So that I got to this point, that means that I had to have, the love for this had to have gotten me here, because you can't get to this point without loving something.
Right, exactly.
So, and when you talk about it too, it's just how you talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's scary. It's a very scary business. So you just gotta keep pushing yourself and see what else, comes your way. Really. I
bet the family back home in Maryland and the surrounding area are quite proud, huh?
I hope so. Mom and Dad.
Yeah, right. Did they know they've seen it all, and they've seen the development of you and the growth of you as a person, as well as, an actor and performer and entertainer in the way that you are. And there's always lots of different blessings in life, and got this great shot.
That's my wife. That's my beautiful wife.
Beautiful, beautiful photo. Another blessing and joy in your life, right?
Yes. So she's giving me my life. So yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, this and I got two lovely, beautiful puppy girls.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Are they around there?
They're sleeping right now.
They're sleeping. What are their names?
Vivi and Nala. Babusha and Nalusha. Right there. No, we have like 50,000 nicknames.
We were teasing before we went on live, everybody, that he was in he looks like he's in like a vault, like he's in the Twilight Zone, or maybe he's being questioned by authorities right now and he's in one of those rooms. Look what we got there.
That's my wife. Ready?
What did she say?
Cheers, that was very nice of you.
I thought she said, you're going to pay for this.
No, she is. It's all good.
That's all good. Hey, it's what it is, right? And hello to her. And again, she's right there by your side and you're by hers. And that's the beauty of it all, my friend. You have so many great things that are happening and people should look out for you. Of course, he's on IMDb and social media and everywhere else. And I know you and your team shared this on your social media, and I really appreciate you doing that. And Erik, this was really terrific. Two East Coast kids talking about old times in this crazy industry that we both happen to be in. A real pleasure to meet you and to welcome you to the show. And as I say to all the guests, we're going to keep the porch light on for you, my friend. You are welcome back. Congratulations on everything so far. Spread the word about our show.
Absolutely.
Love to have you back anytime you just want to chat or there's some new things happening. And hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you.
Dude, Jim, I had a great time. Thank you. Amazing questions. And you tapped into a lot of stuff, man. So I wasn't expecting all that. So this was good. I had a great conversation. And it's nice to have a conversation with a fellow East Coaster. It makes me feel at home. So I had a pleasure, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We'll be shipping you some pizza and bagels, and you probably want those blue crabs from Maryland soon too.
If you could.
Got to get those. They're the best in the world.
Well, I'm coming home. I'm actually coming back east in about a month and a half. So
cool.
Let's see what I can get.
That's it. Scoop it all up, my friend. The best, truly, really the best. I thank you for being here. And come see us again. And thanks for the generosity of time. You're a real sport and really appreciate it, Erik.
Back at you, man. Thank you, Jim.
All right. Spread the word. If you know other folks you think like to pop on, they're all welcome. And congratulations on everything. We'll see you on the tube.
Thank you, brother. We'll talk
Thanks,
to you soon.
Erik.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Erik Fellows joining us here on the show, and we really appreciate him being here and taking a look at some of these amazing comments that are coming in. You guys have really had a good time with us. And again, we've had always a good time with you. We appreciate award-winning television and film actor extraordinaire Erik Fellows. You know him from Days of Our Lives and, of course, Law and Order and so many incredible shows and movies. And yeah, he's done Lifetime movies and he's been in Purgatory and Texas Heart. He's been on the series The Bay, many episodes of The Bay. He's a great guy, a terrific actor. It's a great shot of him there. Of course, Troy Winston for a long time on Days of Our Lives, working with Cloris Leachman and Val Kilmer and Bruce Dern as Peter Falk, American Cowslip, and so many other great shows and specials and just cool stuff. Series, of course, Being Rose with Cybill Shepherd and James Brolin. Some great stories he shared about that as well. If you enjoyed this episode, gang, give this episode a thumbs up, like on the YouTube channel. We really appreciate that. Easy to do. There's a thumbs up icon on the YouTube channel and click that thumbs up. We would love that. It lets us know you're enjoying the Jim Masters Show, Entertainment, Lifestyle, Celebrity Talk Show series, celebrating over 5 years now. We've got a big 5-year anniversary special coming up. And so look for that, and over 1,300 episodes and counting. So share this episode on your social media, click like, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Jim Masters TV, and check out all the other great episodes. There are an umpteen amount of episodes, if there is such a thing, and with celebrity friends and special guests joining us from Hollywood and Broadway, TV, film, music, sports, comedy, everywhere you can think. Let's take a look at a couple of the viewer comments that have been coming in during this episode in our JMS chat room. Thank you to Kathleen Walker in New York City. She did a super sticker. Thank you, Kathleen, for your support of the Jim Masters Show series. We love that. So kind of you to do that as well. We love that. We always try to, when somebody does that, we always try to put it on the screen to thank personally those of you who go the extra mile in your support with our series. Thanks to all that have been commenting and everybody as well. Look who's here. Oh boy. I believe that's his mother. Love you, Jim. That's my son you're talking with. I love that. Erik Fellows is here. Wow. Mom is in the house. And of course, his father has a great name, James or Jim. I'm the fifth in my family. Coming to us right there from Maryland, Erik Fellows' family is in the house. The Fellows are in the house, East Coast proud. So wonderful to have you here. Got a great son who was very talented. And it was a great conversation, wasn't it? Everybody spread the word about the Jim Masters Show. Thanks for joining us, Mrs. Fellows. A pleasure to have you here. And we'll all be over at your house for those Maryland blue crab cakes. We're just up the road. We're in the New York area, so we're not that far from you. But really wonderful to have you here. And I'm glad that you enjoyed this episode. Everybody spread the word, like this episode, subscribe to our YouTube channel, share the episode on your social media. Let us know how much you enjoyed it. And thanks to everybody. Maureen watching in Arizona and Jane watching in Sweden. Again, Kathleen in New York City. Everybody watching, the Fellows family watching in Maryland. Neva, thank you once again for your comment as well. And everybody that's commenting and everybody that's watching quietly that isn't, they're not necessarily commenting, but they're watching, or they're not commenting in the chat room right now while the show is live. I encourage you to leave a comment on the YouTube channel under this episode, right below the episode. That means the world to us when you leave comments and you interact with us and you have a good time. You let us know what you enjoyed about this episode and what you enjoy about the Jim Masters Show series. If this was your first time here, welcome to our show. It's great to have you here. If you like what you're watching, come see us again. Binge watch all the archived episodes. This will be archived as well. You can see it again, or if you joined us late, follow us on our social media as well. All at Jim Masters TV on X, Facebook, and Instagram. And we love having you here. One more time, we thank our very special guest in this episode of the Jim Masters Show, Erik Fellows, joining us from Palm Springs. Yes, Palm Springs, California. Really cool to have him here. You learned a little bit more about one of your favorite stars on film and television. And he's really a good guy, one of the good guys. And very talented. Going to be in Law and Order as well. Those episodes and so much more. So good stuff, gang. Great show. It's always great when you're with us here at the Jim Masters Show. I am your host, Jim Masters, thanking you for your time this time. Till next time, come see us again here at JMS. We love having you here. Spread the word about our show. And as we always say, don't forget to love one another, take care of one another, and don't forget to do the very same for yourself. And be well, everybody. It's always a pleasure to have you here on the Jim Masters Show. Love it. It really was a great episode, wasn't it? We covered so much ground, and we had so much fun and a few laughs as well, and some behind the scenes secrets about some of your favorite shows. And he's got a lot of cool things coming up as well. So look for all of that. Erik Fellows is a very busy fellow, and cool to have him here. Be well. We'll see you again on the next episode of the Jim Masters Show. We love you all. Take care and cheers.